This page is the front cover of Saturn Fan Magazine number 16 from 1998. The cover features an anime-style character, possibly related to one of the featured games. The magazine highlights several games, including D no Shokutaku 2, which is known as D2 internationally, Tukoku 2, which translates to Cry of the Heart 2, and Bio 2, which is Resident Evil 2, and a focus on Black Matrix. Other games mentioned are Back and Loader, Luna, 2 Eternal Blue, Radiant Silvergun, and Pro Baseball Greatest 998 Summer Action, plus some summer strategies. Also mentioned is Shining Force 2, Scenario 3, Ice Walls of the Evil God, Roommate W Futari, Idol Janshi, Tsuchipai, Mecha Genteban, and Slayers Royal 2. It also mentions, it is a summer, concentrated attack. This page is an advert for the Dreamcast game D2, and it reads, "Something terrifying lies beneath the frozen soil in Canada, and now it is awake." It indicates the game is coming in winter and runs on the Dreamcast. The advertisement provides a brief synopsis of the story, mentioning it takes place in Canada during Christmas 1999. The plot involves Laura's aircraft encountering a strange event, a gigantic meteorite falling from outer space, men who resemble terrorists firing weapons, and her aircraft crashing. She is rescued by a woman named Kimberly, and awakens in a snowy mountain hut, where they encounter mutants or monsters. The text also poses questions about the accident, and why people are turning into monsters. The next page showcases Dukoku Soshite Final Edition, with the tagline, "The ultimate trap adventure that shook the industry," returns in a limited edition of 20,000 copies. A premium package includes 5 major bonuses like a special sleeve case illustrated by Mamoru Yokota, final edition trading cards, and a new mini-drama CD, and a life-size figure of Nario Sasamoto. A special bonus is also announced, the Dukoku 2 Concept Art Collection. The magazine content includes features on Black Matrix, Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, and Shining Force 2I Scenario 3. There are also sections on Radiant Silvergun, Deep Fear, Madu Monogatari, and Kenma Chao Ougi Varharian. A retrospective section titled, "What About That Game Now?" focuses on Sakura Taisen 2. A section called Continue to Report covers games like Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Mecha Gente Ban, Densha de Go X, Roommate W, Futari, Virtual Call S, and Find Love 2 Rhapsody. The new section introduces games like Slayers Royal 2, Mahutsukai ni Naruhu Hao, Umibe de Reach, Capcom Generation, Image Fight and X Multiply, and Lupin the Third Pyramid, no Kenja. The magazine also includes a Saturn fan section, cover motif, and Dreamcast Frontier, with Sonic Adventure, and D no Shokutaku 2. Other games listed include Pepin Triathlon, Seventh Cross, and Sengoku Turb. There are also sections for reviews, a reader's page called Cornhead Club, a ranking street, and content related to game research, baseball, and J-League. This page features Black Matrix, highlighting its world and gameplay mechanics. The game is set in a dark, decadent world ruled by 7 deadly sins, where those with black wings have privileges over those with white wings. The story revolves around the struggle for love and freedom against oppression. The game's mechanics include exploring towns to improve equipment, venturing into enemy territories, and engaging in battles. Story progression is divided into chapters, with the number of battles varying depending on player choices. Screenshots show town exploration, event scenes, and combat sequences. The magazine emphasizes strategic unit placement for battles, and the importance of using terrain effectively. The game also includes features such as dialogue choices that change the stage of the game, initial placement being a key aspect of victory. The next page provides an in-depth explanation of the battle system in Black Matrix, focusing on how to defeat enemies. It emphasizes the need to completely eliminate enemies by reducing their health to 0, and then attacking again to ensure they are dead. The page covers various aspects of the battle stage, including organizing units, allocating BP battle points, understanding victory conditions, determining initial positions, alternating turns between player and enemy, displaying battle results, and reassigning points. It explains the importance of BP for magic and potential abilities, highlighting the difference between automatic and manual allocation. Strategic unit placement and understanding enemy positions are crucial for success. The page also details various actions like moving, attacking, and using magic, as well as defense strategies. Experience points and bonus points are discussed, along with how to level up units and allocate bonus points. Additionally, the page touches on how to handle defeat and retry battles, and the mechanics of magic, including the influence of time and elemental attributes. There are screenshots showing the gameplay screen, with units in battle and various options on the game's interface, with emphasis on status ailments such as poison, paralysis, petrification, and zombification. This page is a guide to the different chapters and characters in the game Black Matrix. Chapter 1 focuses on the main character and his daily life. Chapter 2 covers his escape from the prison and his first battles with allies. Chapter 3 talks about the inclusion of the character Rubilbi. Chapter 4 explains the change in the characters Riburos and Piripo, as well as the battles that take place in the city. Chapter 5 explains the character Gaius's sense of justice. Chapter 6 introduces the character Marco as he becomes your ally on the hill. The page also shows some screenshots of different locations and characters that you'll encounter in the game. This page is an interview with character designer Kyoko Tsuchiya and original author Gubi2 about the game Black Matrix. The interview delves into the creative process behind the characters, revealing that the initial idea for the main character, Domina, came from an image of a clear, long-haired girl with a white feathered boy's collar and chain. It touches on how Tsuchiya's illustrations influence the scenario. B2 mentions that he likes girls with a British Lolita aesthetic, which influenced the character of Michette. He describes such characters as building walls and barriers against others, and this feeling translates into the character's design. The interviewer mentions the character Michette, and the authors discuss how the character came to be. The character designer mentions that the character may be difficult for men to understand. The next page presents an interview with Kyoko Tsuchiya, the character designer, and Gubitu, the original author, centered around the game Black Matrix. The interview discusses the design process, emphasizing Tsuchiya's initial image-based approach. B2 notes that Tsuchiya's illustrations influence the scenario. They discuss character design, mentioning influences like the Gamba no Buken anime for character balance and the importance of individual personalities. Also how the British Lolita aesthetic influenced the character of Michette. Tsuchiya mentions designing everything from fabric to character traits, enjoying the freedom. B2 highlights his careful attention to the character's lines and expressions during scenario writing. Information on this page highlights a list of winners from a drawing. There is also an advertisement for special Black Matrix prizes. This page is a strategy guide for the game Wachenroder, focusing on the initial stages of the game, specifically rounds 1 through 14. The guide provides maps and tips for these early rounds, along with basic combat knowledge and unit selection strategies. The page covers how to fight enemies from higher ground, how to manage heat buildup when using sledgehammers, and choosing units based on the map, also featuring the sword type, bow type, and gun type units. The guide gives detailed instructions for clearing round 1 and round 2, including enemy positions, item locations, and victory conditions. The objective is to rescue Durin. The next page continues the strategy guide for Wachenroder, specifically focusing on rounds 3 through 8. Each round features a map, the clear conditions, and a list of enemy units with their stats, unit types, and weapons. Round 3 is about eliminating all enemies to open a prison. Some enemies are initially hidden and appear in locations marked 6 to 10 on the map, so be careful when approaching those areas. Round 4 focuses on surviving enemy attacks for 10 turns. Players are advised to gather all allied units on the mountain at the left of the map to defend themselves. Round 5 involves stopping the slap character before the player's characters are all executed within 15 turns. The page recommends attacking from higher ground during the encounter. Round 6 requires all allied units to escape the underground waterway. Players need to activate switches 7 through 10 to progress. Round 7 tasks players with defeating all enemy units. The strategy suggests climbing the mountain, then taking down enemies marked 4 through 7. Round 8 details clearing all enemy units on the Wam village square. It recommends using the elevated areas around the gate and targeting enemies with specific units, such as taking out Izal at spot 6. The next page continues The Wachenroder Strategy Guide, covering rounds 9 through 14. Round 9, set in a mining site, requires players to eliminate all enemies and extract all ally units within 20 turns. The guide recommends using bow-type units effectively. Round 10 takes place in a yard, challenging players to extract all ally units within 20 turns by carefully navigating the bridges using switches. Players should also avoid approaching the PFM enemy units too soon. Round 11 is set in a platform where the aim is to defeat all enemy units. This round advises using indirect attack units to be successful. Round 12 is another platform stage, where all enemies must be defeated. The strategy involves leading with the two Kenpei characters, Leonora and Georg, who join the party in this round. Round 13 unfolds in a tower, tasking players with defeating Chazar and then moving to a designated location. The guide suggests setting up an ambush on the stairs. Round 14 takes place in a castle gate, where players must defeat Caliph and then escape. The strategy involves luring out indirect attack units. The next page is a strategy guide for Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. It highlights how to acquire magic and special moves, emphasizing leveling up to learn them. The guide suggests focusing on learning area effect spells like Air Shock early on, and recommends prioritizing certain magic for specific characters. For Hyro, the guide lists several skills and their effects, such as Boomerang, Air Shock, and Tornado, obtained at different levels. For Ronfar, the guide recommends learning healing spells, particularly Miracle Hand, as early as possible. For Jean, it points out that her skills are mostly support-based and effective against regular enemies. For Lemina, the guide suggests focusing on learning support spells like Grant Weapon to strengthen her powerful offensive magic. This page offers battle advice for the East Noto Mountain area in Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. It highlights the importance of obtaining crests, which can be equipped to characters for special effects, encouraging players to collect them all. The guide notes that with Lemina's addition, regular battles become easier due to her area effect spells, recommending players take advantage of this to gain experience. The page advises using Lemina's Flame Strike to quickly defeat enemies, except for parasites, which are immune to weapon attacks and must be dealt with using magic or special skills. The page provides a map of the area, marking item locations such as the White Crest, Stardust Light, and Windstrike Staff. It also includes a monster data table listing enemies like Honey Devil, Shuriker, Killer Bee, and Parasite, along with their weaknesses, experience points, and money drops. Additionally, the page gives tips for navigating Noto Village, noting that the dragon ship, Barugan, will appear if you try to cross the bridge. It also advises speaking with villagers for updated information before and after Barugan's appearance. Lastly, it provides a shop list for East Noto, detailing the items available, their prices, and effects. This includes items like healing herbs, antidote herbs, dispel drinks, angel tears, dragon wings, and equipment such as broadswords, iron shields, flame dresses, silver thread robes, iron helmets, and silver thread bandanas. The next page gives battle advice for the Carnival Ancient Ruins area in Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. It emphasizes the emotional moments with Lucia, especially when she changes clothes at the carnival. It highlights her expressions when interacting with Hyro, marking the beginning of her human emotions. The page also delves into past events shown in the ancient ruins, connecting to the previous title, Lunar, Silver Star Story, depicting key moments like the Magic Emperor and the fall of the Magic City of Vane. For navigating the ancient ruins, the guide explains how to use the moving platforms, noting that the shortest routes to exits and treasure rooms are marked with arrows. It advises caution against the enemies and gives battle tactics, recommending weapon attacks for Hyro and Lemina's Flame Strike, with the option to use Ronfar's Dice of Destiny. Enemy data is provided, listing Persona, Masquerade, Crystal Mirror, and Crystal Fencer, along with their weaknesses and rewards. The item list details locations for the Nightmare Crest, Wood Fruit, Stardust Light, and Fire Staff. There is also a section about a conversation between the characters related to the carnival, and a brief mention of Galleon's revival, teasing a mystery to be unraveled, and finally, a brief shop list is included. This page offers battle advice for the Larsen Mountain region in Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. It notes that the boss is significantly stronger than previous encounters, recommending players level up by revisiting areas within and around the mountain to acquire better equipment and ensure characters have sufficient MP. The guide suggests returning to the town of Nota and exploring the carnival area again for additional interactions and dialogue, and to also discover the updated wanted posters for Hyro and Company. A map of the Larsen Mountain exterior and interior is included, along with item locations for the Barrier Ring, Stardust Light, Magic Crest, Fruit of Yggdrasil, and Waterflow Staff. It notes tips for enemies in the Snow Mountain area that are vulnerable to fire magic. A list of monster data includes information on Bigfoot, Wyvern, Roundwolf, and Larsen tropes, detailing their weaknesses and express rewards. For the White Yet boss battle, it advises using support magic like Bless from Ronfar, increasing Hyro's attack power with Lemina's Grand Weapon, and focusing on healing when the boss uses certain attacks, also recommending using the Silver Sword weapon. The boss's HP and express values are listed. The page also features dialogue snippets between characters in Larsen Village, and includes a shop list with prices for various items and equipment, such as medicinal herbs, antidotes, healing water, silver swords, and various types of armor. This page delves into the current status of various unreleased games across 6 different companies, totaling 14 titles. Capcom's Resident Evil 2 is facing development hurdles related to hardware limitations and other issues. Capcom representative Junichi Nagai discusses the challenges of maintaining the image quality of Resident Evil 2 on the Saturn compared to the PlayStation version. He also touches upon the desire to deliver a fresh horror experience. The possibility of porting the original Resident Evil to the Saturn to gauge interest in Resident Evil 2 is also mentioned. Also mentioned is the crossover fighting game Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, which will feature a new character, Norimaro. Other titles are briefly highlighted, including Dungeons & Dragons Collection, Tsuki RPG, Monthly RPG, 2, Cry 2, Tante Jinguji Saburo 7, Detective Saburo Jinguji 7, and Magical Drop Family. The page teases overseas location scouting for Detective Saburo Jinguji 7, and also hints that Magical Drop Family might introduce significant changes to the gameplay formula. The page also states that the game show will have exclusive merchandise. Sega Saturn and Dreamcast game development updates are provided. Sonic the Fighters remains in development, while Sonic Adventure will be revealed soon. Warp's Real Sound the 2nd of May moved to Dreamcast, prioritizing D2. Virtua Fighter 3 is also being considered for Dreamcast. 3 Million RPG is slated for a console but no date. Monster Maker is finally being revealed this month for Saturn, and Sentimental Graffiti is being verified. Konami's Gensu Suikoden is set for September 17th on Saturn, a PlayStation port. The Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3 is in development, with no release date yet. This page focuses on the creation of the opening movie for Shining Force 2 I Scenario 3, featuring an interview with the production company, Lynx. It details the process of creating the CG movie, from 2D to 3D conversion, including character and object modeling, and the use of DSP chips for effects like fire and water. The steps involve modeling, simulation, and rendering to achieve the final result. The interview covers Lynx's involvement in the project, the creation of the storyboards, and the challenges of maintaining consistency between the in-game characters and the movie's visuals. They focused on the concept of synchronicity and the theme of each scenario. Featured are images of Midian and a giant soldier, along with the design process and the finished anime-style scenes. The interviews include CGI supervisor Yoshihisa Hirano, CGI designer Tsuyoshi Kobori, and Sonic's public relations representative, Masaaki Uno. The next page showcases new characters and features in Shining Force 2 I Scenario 3. It introduces 2 new character classes, the Mandragon and Fairy, with a spotlight on the Fairy, Primula, who hails from Holy Ark and joins Julian's party to help him, and the Dragon Man, Cyclops, who has the power to recruit dragons as allies. The synchronicity system from Scenarios 1 and 2 will continue, with certain conditions carrying over. The page also includes an interview with the development team, including comments from Yoshihisa Hirano and Masaaki Uno, discussing the visual effects used in the game and the process of creating them. They mention using real-life Steam effects combined with CG and creating realistic effects. The premium disc that accompanies the game allows the player to edit the game's synchronicity points and also features a polygon character viewer. This page features the puzzle game Rocks, also known as 6 equals 6. A falling block puzzle game where you match dice by their numbers to clear them. The core gameplay involves sandwiching blocks with matching numbers to eliminate them. The game offers two playstyles: by matching the same color blocks to clear everything in between, or using different colored blocks to only remove the end pieces. The game features two modes: Single, where you aim to clear levels by meeting specific quotas on the norma bar, and VS, a two-player battle mode where clearing blocks sends nuisance blocks to your opponent. Difficulty is selectable between easy, normal, and hard, influencing the falling speed of the blocks. Tips include planning large number clears vertically, and the flashball block clears adjacent blocks. There are also details about nuisance blocks in versus mode. This page spotlights Idol Janshi Suchiapai, focusing on the upcoming content for Disc 3, which promises a new scenario, surprise additions for free battles, and visual development materials for the new character, Maya. The adventure part of the game stars Kyoko, with the setting now taking place inside a school, continuing the story from the previous installment. Kyoko is joined by Yuki-chan, who attends the school. Special guest Yugi Ito from Game Paradise will appear in the free battle mode dressed as a bunny girl. The visual presentation of Maya, who is supposed to be a Yuki-onna, Snow Woman, is showcased with both a colored version and a sketch. The new disc also features costumes for Miyuri, who will take on the cosplay of wearing a kimono. The team is giving away illustrations of Maya and Miyuri signed by Kenichi Sonoda to 3 lucky people. The next page features an interview with character designer Kenichi Sonoda and scenario writer Masanori Kazato about the Idol Janshi Suchiapai series. They discuss the creation of new characters, specifically Maya. Sonoda explains that Maya was conceived as a Snow Woman Ayu-type character, with the design carefully differentiating her from Miyuri. Kazato mentions the influence of classic Japanese folklore and old wives' tales on her personality. The interview touches on the importance of balancing tradition with modern sensibilities in character design. Sonoda highlights the need for characters to be visually distinct and memorable. They also talk about the gameplay and story development, aiming for a fast-paced, engaging experience. The team prioritized a dynamic dialogue system, incorporating feedback from players to focus on fan-favorite characters. They also delve into design choices, such as variations in costume, and the challenge of creating visually appealing content within the constraints of the Sega Saturn's hardware. The page concludes with the team discussing the artistic process and the unique appeal of the series. This page features Densha de Go X, a train driving simulation game. It highlights improvements in the graphics and system compared to previous versions, focusing on enhanced instrument displays and textures. The game offers 3 scenic courses: the Sanin main line, the Tokaido main line, and the Keihin Tohoku line. A new feature is the snow driving mode, adding a challenging element to the gameplay. The page also introduces a dedicated controller, the Mascon, designed for a more immersive experience. The developers emphasize the realistic aspects of the game, like encountering various types of trains and detailed station environments. The page showcases screenshots of the game in action, demonstrating the enhanced graphics and gameplay. It includes release information, such as the planned October release date, the price of 6,800 yen, and its simulation genre. The next page delves into Roommate W, a real-time dating simulation game for the Sega Saturn. It focuses on the unique event of a W date, double date, arising from a love triangle. The premise involves the protagonist living with the daughters of his parents' close friends. The page highlights events where you explore Yokohama with the 2 girls, visiting places like Chinatown and enjoying the harbor. The reviewer notes the potential for both enjoyable and awkward moments during the W date. It also mentions in-game playmail, personal mail, communications, and mini-games like Guess the Rice Ball Filling. Additionally, it teases the ability to view albums showcasing the girls' childhood photos. The planned release is in the fall, for 6,800 yen. This page is about the Sega Saturn game Virtual Call S, focusing on how to get closer to the girls in the game by dating them. It describes a scenario where the player uses virtual reality technology to connect with 3 girls, aiming to build relationships and create lasting memories. It covers initial meeting points, suggesting various locations for dates, and advising players to choose spots that match the girl's personality to avoid decreasing their affection. The guide suggests locations from train stations to family restaurants and other places for dates, and how to determine the date through conversation. It also mentions potential encounters with other girls during dates. There are descriptions of different date types, such as casual dates, like visiting museums or arcades, and swimsuit dates during summer, offering tips on building rapport with the girls. It teases a kiss scene as a step towards a happy ending. Featured characters are operator girls like Prisha and Windy. The page advertises a special CD included with the limited edition, allowing the girls to call the player by their name. The page lists various names that can be called. The page also lists winners of a prize draw. The next page focuses on Find Love 2 Rhapsody, revealing event visuals and system details for the game. The game's dialogue system is highlighted, emphasizing how character interactions evolve based on player input. Players choose from 5 emotional responses during conversations, leading to different reactions from the heroines. The day and night scenes change appearances, affecting the heroines' expressions. The girls live in an apartment managed by the protagonist. The game features summer events, with heroines in swimsuits and yukatas, with scenes on the beach and at summer festivals. It features beach scenes with girls in different styles of swimwear. There are also scenes of a night out with fireworks, and an intimate scene in a room. A music CD of Prologue is offered to 3 winners. Players can send to the address shown before the 27th of August to participate. The next page is a double-page spread featuring 2 games, Wackenroder for the Sega Saturn, and Strikers 1945-2 for both PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Wackenroder is described as a tactical simulation RPG. It focuses on a city controlled by steel and smoke. The game's main character, Lucian, seeks revenge after his twin sister succumbs to fear of light. The advert mentions the soundtrack is composed by Ian MacDonald from King Crimson. The other half of the spread is dedicated to Strikers 1945-2, a vertical scrolling shooter. The page promotes a campaign offering original t-shirts to the first 200 customers, and the game is set to release on October 22, 1998. There is mention of the arcade's excitement with the release of the game, and it is emphasized that it features the same feeling from the arcades. The game is also offering gifts, such as Make One flight jackets, original pin badges, original Hasegawa models, and original patches. This page features 3 games. On the left is Guardian Force, a shooting game for the Sega Saturn, and in the middle at the bottom, Magical Night Dreams Cotton 2, a digital data collection. On the right is an advertisement for a How to Become a Wizard action. RPG Guardian Force emphasizes its 360-degree attack system and varied stages. It was released on August 6th for 5,800 yen. It mentions an opportunity to win an original t-shirt by sending in a questionnaire postcard. Magical Night Dreams Cotton 2 is a minigame and digital data collection for Windows Cardrom. It includes minigames, wallpapers, screensavers, and CG music data from the game, and was released on August 21st for 3,800 yen. How to Become a Wizard is a wizarding action RPG scheduled for release on August 27th, priced at 6,800 yen, excluding tax. This page is a guide to help readers choose the right strategy guide for their needs. It's presented as a yes-no diagnosis chart, starting with a question. Which magazine is right for you? The flowchart asks a series of questions about specific games and common player challenges. If you answer yes to any of these, it directs you to read the Koryaku Daigijin Strategy Big Technique Forest. Here are some of the game-specific questions. Do you want to know the Getten techniques for Brave Fencer Musashi? Are you getting lost in Lunar 2? Eternal Blue? Can't defeat bosses in Star Ocean? The second story? Don't know what to do next in Deep Fear? TU. Can't win against friends in Pocket Fighter? TU. Want to know about hidden robots in Super Robot Wars? Final? Want info on the bizarre data and item list in Baroque? The page also advertises the August issue of Strategy Big Technique Forest, highlighting its comprehensive maps, charts, and data for 34 games across the Sega Saturn, PlayStation, and Nintendo 64. It emphasizes a thorough approach to conquering these games. A few of the games listed are Langrisser V, Lunar 2 Eternal Blue, Pokemon Stadium, Private Justice Academy, Air Guts, Star Ocean, Second Story, Baroque, Deep Fear, and Zero X. The issue is priced at 790 yen. This page features a mix of reader submissions and game-related content. The Conehead Club section includes humorous anecdotes from readers, such as dealing with cockroaches and issues with their Sega Saturn consoles. They mention playing Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, and Black Matrix. There's a section for kids with experiences, failures, and unusual acquaintances. One reader talks about voice actors, mentioning their fondness for the melodies of Yukio and Tsuchipai, as well as Sakura from Sakura Wars, and voice actress Kumiko Nishihara. Another reader shares a story of accidentally washing a book, while others discuss seeing girls' underwear in school, and creating illustrations of game characters to enhance their enjoyment of games. The first timer section includes illustrations and short anecdotes from readers. Also present are comic strips and reader artwork. The left side of the page showcases the game Team Hearts and contains character art and game information. It's advertised with a September 23rd release date and a price of 6,800 yen. It also features some art from the game and describes it as having character design by Hiroki Kimura, dramatic game development with voice acting, a shooting scene with Sega Saturn capabilities, and completely new original staff. The next page is a Sega Saturn fan postcard for reader submissions. It includes sections for game performance records, favorite destinations, and other comments. Spaces are provided for address, name, age, and pen name. A note reminds readers to mark the appropriate corner for their submissions. The postcard can be used to send fan mail, illustrations, and more, emphasizing that any content is welcome. This page features various reader submissions and sections dedicated to fan content related to different games. The We Are Supporters section showcases fan art and comments for games like Sakura Wars. It includes illustrations of characters such as Kana and Iris, alongside reader opinions about their favorite characters and aspects of the games. The EVA Supplementary Committee highlights fan contributions related to Neon Genesis Evangelion. This includes fan art of Asuka and comments on memorable scenes. The Lunar Magic Guild is dedicated to fan content for Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, with fan art of characters like Lucia and Ruby, and comments on the game's characters. Dragon Force Friends Association shows fan art and comments focusing on Dragon Force, including illustrations of characters like Wayne and Terrace. The Prelude to Dreams section highlights fan art inspired by Dreamcast games, featuring characters like Lola and Patapi. Finally, Transplantation and Sequel Wanted Voices contains reader opinions and wishes for sequels or remakes of games like Albert Odyssey and Dynamite Deca 2. The Illustration Hall of Fame announces the winner, who is praised for the art of Leon and Yuika. Also on the page is Record Keeping Committee, discussing power memory issues and some tips to prevent data loss. The next page features more fan submissions and reader content. The Sega Am Freak section showcases fan art and thoughts related to various games and characters, including a soldier and zombies. The Silicone Kids Network board includes the Tumble Zai number 14 segment, where readers discuss the state of Saturn game availability in shops. One reader notes the shrinking space for Saturn games and increasing presence of PlayStation products. In the To Kakinuma Tomoko number 14 segment, a reader shares an experience of sending feedback to a software maker and receiving a response. The Kids Hope section discusses the difficulty of obtaining Black Matrix and the anger it caused. It also touches on the controversy surrounding the unauthorized adult video of Shiori Fujisaki from Tokimeki Memorial. The 18th Cover Prediction Contest section discusses past predictions and asks for new predictions for the next issue, with Roommate W being a popular choice. The Cornhead Club expresses concerns about the increasing focus on Dreamcast in Saturn magazines. Several smaller sections present fan art of characters from various games, including a girl, a lady in leather, and a mage. Finally, a section called Rules for Submission provides guidelines for submitting fan content, including the size and format of submissions. It also includes contact information. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page features rankings and information based on actual sales data and reader surveys, focusing on the latest software information. The page leads with Ranking Street, highlighting sales rankings for the Sega Saturn, as well as anticipated and desired Dreamcast ports. It covers the summer of 1998, specifically the period of July 13th to July 26th, focusing on the games Deep Fear and Luna 2. The Saturn sales ranking section lists games like Deep Fear, the director of the Japanese national team, Luna 2, Eternal Blue, Aim for the Virgin, Akumajo Dracula X, Nocturne in the Moonlight, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Langrisser IV. The most anticipated ranking includes games like Pia EU Koso 2 and Black Matrix, Shining Force 2, Scenario 3, and Sonic Adventure. The Dreamcast port hopeful ranking includes Cyber Troopers Virtualon, King of Fighters 98, and Street Fighter 03. The page suggests that fans of the Saturn want ports of Bishujo games, while there's a high desire for Sega's arcade titles on the Dreamcast. This page presents a game achievement table and reader rankings and game critiques. The magazine has readers' reviews and rankings for the Sega Saturn versions of popular games, such as Cross Tante Monogatari, 7 Ravelings at first place, Langrisser V, The End of Legend in second, Akumajo Dracula, X, Nocturne in the Moonlight, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, in third, and Linda Cube Again at fourth. The page features reader comments about Cross Tante Monogatari, praising the character design and story. Readers also share their thoughts on Langrisser Versus, highlighting the strategic gameplay and character illustrations. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, receives praise for its music and atmosphere. Linda Cube Again is described as dark and unique, with a focus on collecting. The next page features a roundup of game reviews and reader opinions, starting with the 5th-ranked game, Princess Maker, Yume Miru Yusei. A reviewer praises its beautiful opening and simplified gameplay compared to the previous title, but notes the lack of innovation. In 6th place is Become a J-League Director, the first professional soccer RPG, described as an RPG-like soccer game with deep training possibilities. However, one player found it to be unrefined, with long loading times and clumsy item equipping. 7th place goes to Gege no Kitaro Encyclopedia, All the Monsters, praised for its large database of monsters but criticized for slow loading and poor controls. Finally, in 8th place is Initial D, Arcade Stage, with one reviewer enjoying the accessible drifting mechanics but finding the story mode disappointing and the AI lacking. The page also advertises for readers to send in game reviews to win prizes, and also lists a deadline for submitting game reviews for the magazine, with the closing date being August 25th, and lists the games that are included for review at that time. The right side of the page is a large feature for Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure, including a tagline that the latest Sonic is on the horizon. The page has an image of a female character and text, promoting the opening of D no Shokutaku 2, D2, and mentions Pen Pen Tricelon, 7th Cross Evolution, and Sengoku Turb. The upcoming Sonic Adventure Dreamcast reveal event promises a historical moment. Attendees will receive souvenirs including a t-shirt, postcard, press sheet, and exclusive Sonic merchandise like posters and pins. Yuji Naka and Tetsuka Tano, plus potentially Naoto Oshima, will be present, alongside MCS, Chris Pepler, and Yumiko Hamaya. A live performance of the theme song and the Sonic Call segment are planned. The game's development team drew inspiration from ancient ruins in Mexico, Guatemala, and Peru, as well as Las Vegas casinos and the Kennedy Space Center. The playable game will be showcased at 2 free shows at the Tokyo International Forum on August 22nd, with a 5,000-person limit per showing. This page covers D2, the sequel to D, focusing on the game's opening sequence. The article highlights the detailed character animations and the emotional performances of the actors. The writer emphasizes the high quality of the CG visuals and backgrounds, and the overall cinematic presentation. The opening sequence in D2 is approximately 15 minutes long, and the writer is excited to finally showcase it in its entirety. Kenji Eno is mentioned, and he talks about the work put in to create a unique atmosphere, particularly with the snow effects. He also notes that the team aimed for realistic character animations that go beyond typical CG movies. The page includes screenshots of characters and monsters from the game, further emphasizing the visual fidelity. The next page details D2's opening preview, showing screenshots from the game's beginning. We see a man struggling through a blizzard, followed by scenes inside a mountain cabin. Kimberly is sitting in a rocking chair looking concerned, while Laura sleeps in a bed. The text discusses the game's intro and emphasizes the emotional performances and visual fidelity. The page concludes by stating that symbolic mountain scenes are cut in and out, where the main staff credits float and disappear on top of the snow. The inserted music is also described as fantastical. This page continues the D2 preview, focusing on scenes from the game featuring Laura and a young girl named Jenny. It begins with a meteor hurtling towards Earth, symbolic of the game's overarching narrative. Later, Laura is on a plane flying over Canada on December 25, 1999, dozing off while using her laptop. The laptop screen displays data and a location over the Canada. Startled awake by an alarm, she spills juice on her skirt. The focus shifts to Laura's interaction with Jenny, a young girl on the plane who shows Laura her teddy bear. The text highlights the innocence and expressiveness of Jenny's character. The next page of the D2 preview centers on key scenes and characters. It starts with Laura meeting David, a young man who returns her compact mirror, which is engraved with a message from her mother, Lucy. The text mentions David's previous appearance in Enemy Zero and notes he is now 34 years old and more handsome. A scene of Laura and David is interrupted by a steward, and shortly after, a gunshot rings out, revealing the steward has been shot. The preview then cuts to an enigmatic old man in a hooded robe, muttering incantations and holding a glowing crystal ball, adding a layer of mystery to the unfolding events. The text describes the old man as a figure shrouded in mystery and a potential key to the story. This page focuses on key scenes from D2, opening with chaos erupting on the plane. Passengers are terrorized by armed men, one of whom is ranting about the second destruction of Shadow and urging prayers. Meanwhile, Laura is seen with her mother, while David calmly checks his ammo. The scene escalates when one of the gunmen targets Jenny, prompting a desperate attempt by a passenger to intervene, resulting in their death. Another scene depicts a thin, long-haired man, seemingly in despair, muttering, "Shadow," as David begins to fight back. David notices Laura's compact mirror glowing and discovers a vision of an object hurtling towards the plane. Realizing the danger, he grabs Laura's hand and rushes to the rear. The object pierces the plane, causing an explosion, and the aircraft crashes in the Canadian mountains, leaving the fate of the passengers unknown. The preview ends with Laura firing a gun, and David, showing no emotion, calmly targets the enemy. The next page highlights pivotal scenes from D2. Scene 11 depicts Laura waking up in a cabin, disturbed by a nightmare of the accident. Kimberly consoles her as a man approaches the cabin in the snow. Scene 12 transitions into a battle of fear, showing the man transforming into a monster with green blood, tentacles, and a terrifying mouth. He attacks Laura and Kimberly. The scenes conclude with a close-up of the monster's gruesome appearance, including its tentacles and mouth. This page is about Pengo Tricelon, specifically focusing on the abilities of the 7 Pengo characters and their strengths and weaknesses. It describes how the characters are divided into 2 categories based on size. The smaller chibi Pengos, including Sparky, Tina, Sneak, and Mr. Bao, and the larger Deca Pengos, which are Back, Joe, and Valerie. The page also explains the differences between these 2 types, highlighting that chibi Pengos have better maneuverability and are more susceptible to hits. Deca Pengos are harder to maneuver, but are more resistant to damage and have stronger attacks. The article features screenshots of the game in action, showcasing sliding, running, and swimming scenes with different Pengo characters. This page focuses on Pengo Tricelon, diving into the unique characteristics of each of the 7 Pengo characters and how their strengths impact gameplay. The game categorizes the Pengos into Chibi Pengo, small, and Deca Pengo, large, types. Chibi Pengos are known for their agility but are easier to knock around, whereas Deca Pengos, though harder to control, boast higher attack power and are tougher to take down. The page also details each Pengo's proficiency in different terrains, such as sliding, running, and swimming. It explains how some Pengos excel in specific environments and the importance of picking the right Pengos for each racetrack. Dash zones on the tracks offer opportunities to create more distance between yourself and your rivals. Screenshots capture the Pengos in action, showing off their various moves and abilities in different race scenarios. The next page is about the game 7th Cross and details the evolutionary forms of creatures within it. The game involves inputting Drana sheets, which results in unpredictable evolutionary forms based on the player's subconscious. The page introduces different creatures, like Origin, the base form for all evolutions, Seaworm, adept in water but weak on land, attacking with waste projectiles, Desert Bone, an early-stage biped with bladed arms and high attack power, and Stab Scorpion, a slow creature using its claw arms as whips. Other creatures include Hammer Lobster, covered in armor and equipped with hammer-like arms and acid-shooting tentacles. Cannon Shark, able to climb slopes and armed with cannon-like arms. Plant Complex, a plant-like form with healing and dissolving abilities. Insect, a fast but weak biped, and Evil Wise, a high-level floating form using psychic abilities. Early on, players are encouraged to run away and avoid battles, only gaining enough power through evolution to survive. The article mentions the game's development is in full swing, with the A-driven evolution system being a core feature. There's a brief table indicating a release date of November 20th, NEC Home Electronics as the developer and publisher, a simulation RPG genre, 1 CD-ROM disc, and 60% development completion as of July 30th. This page focuses on the game Sengoku Turb and its gameplay elements. The page states, the game has drama and battle modes, where the player controls the character in real-time action RPG style. There are 16 types of weapons, including swords, whips, soft cream, crackers, and big hands to fight against the Hitsuji army. Also mentioned is the Kumaneko converter, where up to 12 cat soldiers can be recruited but can fall in battle. Players can persuade bears and rabbits in the field and convert them into cats. The page also discusses Tainyan, fairy-type creatures that are necessary to catch and be used as food. There are different colors of Tainyan who live in the fairy's nest. Black Tainyan is also introduced as mysterious creature. The game involves collecting information by talking to other characters, and the drama scenes involve choices that influence the story. The development progress is 45% as of June 19th. This page introduces new characters, despite the lack of detailed settings, including Dopa and Hitsuji Soldier. It features reader contributions and feedback, highlighting various games, such as Revolutionary Girl Utena and Knights. The page also announces the start of a new corner for reader-submitted game strategies. It includes a ranking of the best and worst articles from the magazine, mentioning titles like Pia Carrot Iukoso 2 and Dreamcast. Names of the readers who won various giveaways are also listed. Additionally, character design sketches by Nanor are presented, showcasing world settings and the children of the Neko General from Turb, with annotations. A selection of Turb plants and the King's Room are also featured with handwritten notes describing elements within them. This page, titled Game Research Institute, focuses on the Sega Saturn game, Greatest 998 Summer Action, a baseball simulation. It promises detailed data for all 16 baseball teams. The page outlines how to use the data effectively, including player stats like pitching arm, batting position, power, hitting ability, running speed, shoulder strength, fielding position, and pitching styles. It includes Central League team data for the Yomiuri Giants, Chunichi Dragons, Hiroshima Toyo Carp, and Yakult Swallows, showcasing key players and their stats. For example, stats shown are for players from the Yomiuri Giants team, such as Masumi Kuwata, Valdez, Masumi Kuwata, and Toshiharu Makihara. The page also shows Chunichi Dragons players like Masa Yamamoto, Shinji Imanaka, Kenshin Kawakami, and Shigeki Noguchi. The next page is more baseball data for Greatest 998 Summer Action. It continues with the Central League, featuring the Yokohama Bay Stars and Hanshin Tigers. The Bay Stars section highlights players like Takashi Saito, Takuro Ishii, and Takanori Suzuki. The Tigers data includes names like Akihiro Yano, Toshiaki Imae, and Makoto Hagiwara. Moving on to the Pacific League, we have the Nippon Ham Fighters and Seibu Lions. The Fighters section lists players like Yukio Tanaka, Michihiro Ogasawara, and Atsushi Kataoka. The Lions section features players such as Hatsuhiko Tsuji, Kazuo Matsui, and Taketoshi Yamamura. Finally, it covers the Pacific League's Oryx Blue Wave and Kintetsu Buffaloes. The Blue Wave section highlights players like Sotoguchi, Yoshitomo Tani, and Masato Yoshi. The Buffaloes section features players like Norihiro Nakamura, Koichi Isobe, and Hironori Ishikawa. This page continues the baseball data for Greatest 998 Summer Action. It starts with the Pacific League, showcasing the Chiba Lotte Marines and Oryx Pacific League. The Marines section features players like Tomohiro Kuroiwa, Yasunaga Oshima, and Kazumi Okayama. The Oryx Pacific League's data includes names like Yoshihito Kudo, Fumihiko Ishikawa, and Kotaro Jitsukawa. Next, it covers the Pacific League's Fukuoka Daiei Hawks and a team named Original Team Knights. The Hawks section lists players like Kimiyasu Kudo, Kimitake Mayuzumi, and Koji Yoshinaga. The Knights section features players such as Kazumi Nishi, Tomoaki Kanemoto, and Yoshiharu Ushida. Then, it moves to the Central League, featuring the All-Central team and another original team Dynamites. The All-Central team includes players like Shinji Sasaoka, Takayoshi Yamane, and Kazuyoshi Tatsunami. The Dynamite section features players like Kenshiro Takanami, Satoru Komiyama, and Akihito Moriyama. This page delves into a walkthrough for the 7th installment of Cross Tante Monogatari, Motsureta 7 Tsu no Labyrinth, guiding players through its multi-scenario labyrinth. The game is described as having the largest scale and difficulty yet, where the protagonist, swordsman Kenshiro, is up against a major criminal organization. The plot involves Kenshiro being invited to a mansion by the Poison Spider organization, who have kidnapped his mentor, Saeki. Several others targeted by Poison Spider are also present. The walkthrough provides strategies for various scenarios, including A and B routes, and hints for difficult scenes. Key areas include the shower room, where players need to find the hidden switches. Players need to explore all rooms. There's mention of obtaining information from a character named Imamura in the stone warehouse by flattering him with details about schoolgirl uniforms. There is also mention of finding clues in the dining room, including a bloody chair. The guide also mentions the importance of analyzing videotapes for clues. There are also clues relating to the calendar, murder schedule, and the rooms where the victims are staying. And there is a strange memo left by a dead body. The page has flowcharts of the A and B scenario routes, pointing to parts of the mansion like the dining hall, the bar, and the bedrooms. The next page covers the J-League Pro Soccer Club Otsukuru 2. Let's make a J-League Pro Soccer Club 2 game and features the SEGA Fan Cup tournament. It presents an overview of the tournament's preliminary round stage and illustrates how to read the tournament table and match formats. The game utilizes a home and away system with 64 clubs, focusing on balancing offense and defense, and the reviewer notes counterattacks and zonal press tactics are important. The page provides match results and team data, detailing the entry clubs and their respective strategies. The entries clubs listed are a very long list of Japanese soccer teams. This page offers in-depth strategies for stages in Radiant Silvergun, a shoot-'em-up game. It focuses on maximizing scores in the final stages, particularly Stage 5, which is described as a prime spot for accumulating points due to simultaneous Zako and boss battles. The page discusses the unique properties of the Radiant Sword weapon and how it can be used effectively. The guide highlights specific enemy patterns and areas, giving hints on how to navigate them, including when to use the Radiant Sword. The page includes screenshots and annotations to visually guide players through the stages, emphasizing the sequence of defeating enemies and bosses to trigger chain bonuses. It lists game information such as release date, developer, price, and genre, and confirms the game is fully complete at the time of publication. The tactics for Radiant Silvergun are accompanied by a chart of teams who will participate in the SEGA Fan Cup. The page also lists Japanese soccer clubs. This page is a Saturn Fan Magazine application form. It asks readers to fill in their address, name, phone number, and select their favorite present from the current issue. It also asks for readers' opinions on games listed on page 67, Table 4, asking them to evaluate games they've actually played. The next page is a strategy guide for Radiant Silvergun. It features gameplay tips and tactics for the game, split into sections such as chaining enemies, destroying parts, evading bullets, and using different weapons strategically. The page also includes various in-game screenshots to illustrate the points being made. The reviewer notes the importance of chaining specific enemy types for high scores, understanding boss patterns, and switching weapons effectively. They also mention the game's hidden options. This page provides a detailed strategy guide for Radiant Silvergun, focusing on Stage 6 and boss encounters. The guide emphasizes chaining red bullets for high scores, adapting attack strategies based on boss formations, and understanding bullet patterns for effective evasion. Specific tips include targeting the core to change enemy properties, using the B+C weapon combo, and varying weapon usage based on the boss's current form. The guide also breaks down how to avoid certain attacks, and lists 6 attack patterns of the final boss. The reviewer emphasizes understanding boss behavior and attack patterns for successful strategies, and also recommends exploiting the game mechanics for maximum points. The next page is a strategy guide for Deep Fear, covering the transition from Disc 1 to Disc 2. It includes a flowchart and map to help players navigate the game's areas, such as the Sea Farm area and the Air Unit area. The guide highlights the connections between different areas, including the Docking area, MI area, and Energy Unit area, and describes the use of elevators and vehicles for transportation. The guide focuses on returning to the CCD area and stopping SEAL's operation, and recommends obtaining the Crisis Management Manual and Big Table Development Concept files. It advises players to pay attention to Sharon in the Rockers Room, and to collect shell boxes and submachine gun magazines in the conference room after Chart 72. This page is a strategy guide for Deep Fear. It describes the Air Unit area as a monster-filled zone where suspenseful events await players. It outlines the importance of collecting all available items before facing the boss, as a timed event starts afterward. The guide features navigation tips for areas like the Docking area B1F and the Air Unit, as well as strategies for battles against enemies, including the first mouse. The guide also provides a chart for item locations, including stun grenades, shell boxes, and the gondola control key. It details tasks to complete in the Air Unit area, such as acquiring items from the air purification room and retrieving items to avenge fallen SEAL members. It mentions the need to use the key on the control panel to summon the gondola. Additionally, it gives guidance on interacting with characters like Danny to find a gas canister, and Sharon to learn the password for the Energy Unit area. It points out the availability of new weapons, such as the franchise SPA's 12 shotgun. The guide ends on a cliffhanger, teasing the next stage of the adventure. The next page is a strategy guide focusing on Madu Monogatari, localized as Puyo Puyo, but the game shown here has no relation. It provides tips and tricks for navigating through the game's story and character abilities. The guide highlights key points in the game's narrative, such as solving the mystery of Kemuri, starting from the village of Hot and proceeding to the Incubus Mansion, plus details on the difficult dungeon layouts. It includes maps of areas like the Katarina Ruins, indicating locations of treasures, enemies, and important items. Strategies are also outlined for battles, including tips for defeating the boss, Skeleton T. The guide also dives into the abilities of main characters Arleel and Rulyu. It discusses the different types of techniques and their effects, such as fire and ice spells, healing abilities, and unique special moves. The guide recommends using powered-up normal attacks instead of SP attacks when MP is low. Villages and areas mentioned as part of the walkthrough include Hot Village, Katarina Ruins, Rulu's House, Kutsurogi Town, Korate Plains, Kichi Plains, Fukaina Cave, Ijara Forest, Kaiser Village, Succubus Mansion, Kaiser Village, King Village, and Incubus Mansion. This page continues the strategy guide for Madu Monogatari, which is unrelated to Puyo Puyo. It gives more detailed walkthroughs of sections of the game, including the town of Kutsurogi, the Korate Plains, Kichi Plains, Fukaina Cave, Ijara Forest, Kaiser Village, Succubus Mansion, Kaiser Village, King Village, and Incubus Mansion. It details the shops and items available in Kutsurogi Town, split into north and south sections, as well as Kaiser Village and Kaiser's Village. It also describes event triggers and strategies for battles against enemies, like Kodomo Dragon and the final boss, Incubus, giving character-specific advice for Arlie and Rulyu. A map of the Incubus Mansion is provided, highlighting treasure locations, save points, and tile puzzles, along with boss battle advice and suggested party makeup, and to return the missing women from the village. The next page is a strategy guide for Valholian, a simulation RPG, emphasizing meticulous planning and prediction of battle outcomes due to the game's high difficulty. It stresses the importance of understanding hit percentages and damage calculations, urging players to avoid reckless unit advancement and instead focus on tactical positioning and luring enemies into ambushes. The guide provides a formula for calculating hit rates and damage, including attribute modifiers and terrain advantages. It recommends equipping units with items that boost speed, like speed rings, and lists the strengths and weaknesses of different attributes. It highlights the use of special skills and combination attacks to overcome stronger enemies, listing the effects and SP costs of various character-specific skills like healing, elemental attacks, and buffs. A table details the attribute changes during combination attacks and gives advice on how to trigger combo attacks. The page also covers combo attack event triggers like the acquisition of powerful items after characters talk, and special events. This page features a preview of Slayers Royal 2, focusing on its adventure and battle components. The game's story is supervised by original series author Hajime Kanzaka and retains the series' signature humor, including familiar spells, Naga's laughter, and Lena's slipper attacks. The AI for the characters is designed to reflect their personalities, and the reviewer considers it worth testing. The adventure part of the game focuses on conversation, exploration, and gathering information. Players can visit shops and other locations, and the story progresses through conversations and events. The battle system is a semi-real-time system where spells require chanting, which can be interrupted. The page shows how Naga uses ice magic and how the player character attacks. The page introduces key characters such as Lena Inverse, Guri Gabriev, Zelgadis Greywords, Amelia Wiltesla Sayun, and Silfiel Nels Laada. The next page gives a digest of highlights from the early parts of Slayers Royal 2, showcasing the adventure and battle sequences. It begins in the town of Dulthout, following the search for the amulet and the imposters of Lena. The player is called to the Dulthout Magic Association and is approached by the chairman Grez. Lena is asked to return the amulet, which was stolen by bandits a week earlier, of which she has no knowledge. They then head to the church to meet with the priest Roberto. A mercenary named Naga appears suddenly and attacks. Screenshots and character introductions are provided, including Grez, Roberto, Naga, the imposters of Lena, and the monsters encountered in dungeons. In Slayers Royal 2, powerful spells can be used from the beginning, but using them in towns can cause problems. The page shows off some spells like the white magic and black magic, and the stats of the characters. Finally, the page includes a section verifying the Lena imposters, comparing them to the real Lena and Naga, and highlighting differences in their appearance and costumes, stating the imposter to be the evil sorceress lookalike. Quote, "This page features Mahutsukai ni Naru, a game where you aim to become a top-notch magician. You choose one of 3 apprentice magicians and guide them to become first class. This involves completing tasks given by the master, collecting materials, and creating magic. Tasks range from learning magic recipes to material gathering, with time limits to rank up. You can learn magic recipes from the master or research in the library, and gather materials by exploring areas indicated by marks on the map. The game involves creating scrolls to use magic, which requires gathering ingredients and following recipes. The page also covers Umi I Aiku, Beach to Reach. In this game, you play mahjong with 3 girls at a beach resort. You'll befriend the girls by playing mahjong and giving them gifts. The game has a story mode and 5 different rules for matches. Depending on how you play mahjong, the girls' affection towards you can change, so be careful. The game includes normal, speedy, competition, and free rules, with the Mahjong classroom allowing you to learn the basics of the game with the girls from the story mode. The next page is about the Capcom Generation series, specifically focusing on a collection featuring 3 classic 19XX series games, 1942, 1943, and 1943 Kai, Revised Edition. The collection, titled Capcom Generation, Chapter 1, Age of Air Supremacy, aims to bring back the excitement of classic Capcom shooting games from the 1980s. The page highlights key features of each game, such as 1942's loop mechanic for dodging enemy fire and unique power-ups, 1943's damage system and Mega Crash ability, and 1943 Kai's rebalanced difficulty and addition of the powerful laser weapon. Additionally, the collection mode is showcased, which includes original game materials like instruction cards, development notes, and illustrations. It also mentions secret items that can be unlocked by meeting certain conditions. The stage select option is highlighted, allowing players to practice specific stages in the games. The next page is a feature on 2 arcade games from Irem, Image Fight and X Multiply, bundled together as Arcade Gears. Image Fight challenges players to train for space combat after a moon-based disaster, while X Multiply sends them inside a human body to fight alien invaders. X Multiply features a unique mechanic where players can use tentacle-like appendages to attack enemies and defend themselves. Power-ups grant the tentacles different weapons, like lasers, homing missiles, and shadow rings. Players can also collect pods that act as turrets, firing in different directions. The page also promotes Lupin III, Sage of Pyramid, a 3D action game for the Sega Saturn. Lupin and his gang are after the Eye of Moiran, hidden within a pyramid. The game features 14 stages filled with traps and enemies, requiring players to use items and trickery to survive. Animated cutscenes are created by the TMS studio. The reviewer highlights the comical action and mentions that Monkey Punch, the creator of Lupin, supervised the game's animation. The page showcases in-game screenshots, cutscenes, and action shots of Lupin with his signature pistol, and characters like Jijin, Goemon, and Fujiko. This page is a Saturn soft impression review section covering upcoming and recently released Sega Saturn games. It includes short reviews and scores from various writers, giving their opinions and highlighting what they liked or disliked. The games reviewed are Waku Puyo Puyo Dungeon, or Waku Waku Monster, a puzzle game where you raise monsters. Reviewers enjoyed the puzzle aspect, but found the monster-raising element lacking. Lupin III, The Sage of Pyramid, a 3D action game. The reviewers felt it had potential but didn't fully capture the essence of Lupin. Action felt unpolished. Image Fight and X Multiply Arcade Gears, a compilation of two classic shooters. Reviewers noted the unforgiving difficulty and the lack of improvements over the arcade originals. Kaibetsu, Less Than Beach, Greater Than to Reach, a mahjong game. Reviewers found both the mahjong and story aspects uncompelling. The page also includes profiles of the reviewers and small comments about their gaming habits. There is a list of release dates for upcoming software. The next page is another Saturn soft impression review page, with multiple game reviews and screenshots, along with reviewer comments and scores. The games reviewed are Black Matrix, a simulation RPG, where the reviewers praised the combat system, but felt the character designs were too emphasized. Reviewers also noted that it was a challenging, hardcore game. Capcom Generation 1, a compilation of classic Capcom shooting games. While fun, reviewers felt it didn't offer much beyond the original arcade versions. The included titles are 1942, 1943, and 1943 Kai, with reviewers commenting on the difficulty, lack of a password system. Mahutsukai ni Naruhu Hao, How to Become a Mage. Reviewers enjoyed the item collection and adventure elements of this RPG, comparing it to Atelier Marie Pro Yaku, Greatest 998 Summer Action, a baseball game praised for its updated player data, and Become a Pro mode. Dokoku Soshite Final Edition, Lament, Injak. Final Edition, a limited edition version of the adventure game Dokoku Soshite, featuring exclusive content like a slipcase with special character designs. This page is an advertisement for the Tokuma Anniversary Carnival, celebrating the 20th anniversary of Animage Magazine and the 10th anniversary of Goods Press Magazine. It's a chance for 200 lucky readers to win tickets to a special event featuring Mayumi Iizuka's first live performance as Stage 1 and Harumi Tsuyuzaki live as Stage 2. The advertisement mentions a Goods Press special night with a live performance by Harumi Tsuyuzaki and a lottery with 5 million yen worth of prizes, including a notebook PC. It also promotes the release of Mayumi Iizuka's first photo book, which is available at the venue. There is a section on how to apply for tickets and contact information for inquiries. It also includes images of the Dokoku Soshite official art collection, advertising a special illustration book. The next page features a strategy guide for the advanced course in Daytona USA 2, offering tips for beginner players on the Sega Saturn. The guide breaks down the course into 6 key points, starting with tips for the home straight to the blondeaway section, advising the use of a rocket start, and careful handling at high speeds. It then details how to navigate the 270 degrees corner into the dot crank, the King's Midtown Tunnel, and the Vortex 360 degrees corner, with advice on gear changes, drifting, and maintaining speed. Screenshots are included to illustrate the techniques, and a small course map provides an overview of the track layout. The guide emphasizes memorization and practice for success on the advanced course. This page is a mixed bag of content. On the left, there's a continuation of Daytona USA 2 tips, focusing on the advanced course. Advice is given on navigating sections like the Broccoli Branch to Twister and the Station Hairpin to Straight, with gear recommendations and braking points highlighted. On the right, there's a section promoting the Fighting Vipers 2 strategy video. It's mentioned that the video covers new features like tech guards and throws. The focus then shifts to Spike Out, a new game in development by Sega AM2. It is described as a downtown gang warfare story, with details on the game's setting and plot involving the Inferno Gang's invasion. 4 main characters, Spike, White, Linda, and Tenshin, are introduced with brief profiles. A contest to win merchandise for Dynamite, Deca 2, Die Hard Arcade 2 is briefly described. The next page focuses on the controls and screen display of the upcoming game Spike Out. It details the control scheme, which involves an 8-directional lever and 4 buttons. The shift button is key for movement, allowing players to fix their character's orientation while moving. The attack button is used for combos and special moves. The charge button allows for charged attacks, and the jump button is used for jumping and jump attacks. The screen display section explains the various elements on screen, including the special attack gauge, enemy K.O, rate, enemy life gauge, and radar map. It also showcases the new Opera House stage. The next page features 2 arcade games, Raiden Fighter's Jet and Cotton Boomerang, as well as general arcade news. Raiden Fighter's Jet is the latest installment in the series, promising revamped stage designs and enemy characters. The game features a military simulator setting where players pilot XTF fighter jets. The game includes 8 selectable aircraft and the ability for 2 players to use the same aircraft. There will also be branching stage progression based on the player's level, with a total of 8 stages which feature varying difficulty. The Cotton Boomerang section introduces 8 playable characters, an increase from the previous game, each with unique abilities, particularly in their subweapons. It highlights the character change system, where players can switch between 3 selected characters during gameplay, consuming change items. This can be used strategically for emergency evasion, or when a character is defeated. A new feature called Demeuchi, delivery attack, allows players to shoot while holding an enemy, and the game also introduces a punch attack for both offense and defense. The page also includes various screenshots of both games and shows off characters, levels, and UC elements. This page delves into Saturn Dreams, featuring Chomakai Taisen, Dora-chan Rangers, and an interview with director Yasuhiro Matsuda from Almanac, offering a behind-the-scenes look at the game's development. The article highlights hidden commands and features in Chomakai Taisen, Dora-chan Rangers. Players can use these commands to freely control shells, view all events, and unlock new characters and difficulty levels. Hints include how to unlock Azealia and Rouge in story mode, and how to increase the difficulty. Additionally, the page introduces a hidden scenario called Fireworks, where players can access a special story by manipulating the character selection screen. The interview with Matsuda discusses the game's development, focusing on blending 2D and 3D elements and his passion for strategy games. He mentions the challenges of creating the game, including balancing the polygon count and incorporating both 2D and 3D elements. Matsuda also touches on the game's difficulty. This page provides a collection of news and events related to Sega Saturn, including summaries for the Comic-It 54 and Wonder Festival, 98 summer events, and a promotion for Fighters Rockman Day. Comic-It 54 celebrated Doujin culture, with a focus on game-related vendors with original merchandise, and trading card game corners. Wonder Festival 98 featured garage kits and character goods, with Konami showcasing Tokimeki memorial items. There's also a spotlight on the Cotton 2 data collection for Windows 95/98, and a trading card set from Sikyo featuring art from their shooting games. Other news includes a newly opened Banpresto entertainment facility in Matsudo, and especially goods available in Akihabara. The page also touches on the Bacon Raider exhibition, with designs by Renji Murata and Takayuki Takeya. Games mentioned on the page: Pia Heiyu Koso 2, Ginga Ayu Densetsu, Yu Yu Hakusho, High School Countdown, Yukyu Gensukyoku Pia 2, The King of Fighters 98, Princess Quest, Langrisser, Sakura Taisen, Angelique Duet, Angelique Special 2, Kidu Senkan Nadesiko, Yukyu Gensukyoku, Waku Waku 7, Pocket Fighter, Sentimental Graffiti, Cotton 2, Soldi Evaid, Strikers 1945, Baroque Luna 2. This page covers various Sega Saturn news and releases. There is coverage of Akihabara SEGA Saturn Cool Carnival event, where fans gathered to play upcoming games and collect merchandise. There's also a report on the Deep Fear event held on Marine Day, featuring a quiz and a display of creature designs by Yasushi Nirasawa. The magazine also reports on Seata Saburo's Bacon Raider CM filming, where he portrays 6 different expressions, and promotes the Tomo to Tomoko no Meisakan Network radio show hosted by Tomoko Kawakami, with a giveaway of merchandise. There is a section dedicated to the second CM of Yukawa Senmu called The Dream Arc, and a CD and video guide, spotlighting Sakura Taisen 2 movie record ladder volume, Detective Jinguji Saburo Dream's End, OJYO Samatokyu Voice Express Collection, Bacon Raider, Dream Generation Love or Work, and Tears of Ale Nijino Saki. Finally, there's a dynamic presents section with prizes such as a pocket fighter mascot keyholder, a back Ginner poster, a Guardian Force t-shirt, and a Mariko Kuda telecard. The next page features an interview with Kohei Tanaka, the music director for Sakura Wars 2, where he discusses the creation of the game's music, the differences from previous game soundtracks, and the secrets behind its captivating melodies. Tanaka explains how he created the theme song, Geki Teikoku Kagekidan, Kai, after initial resistance to making a new song, and how he incorporated feedback from the game's programmers. He also highlights the importance of aligning the music with the anime sequences. There's discussion on the order of songs in the Kaiyu Zenshu album, the solo character songs, and working with Hiroi Oji for the lyrics. Tanaka also touches on the Joki Chikuankan album, noting its BGM and his desire to publish it as an orchestral score. He emphasizes the importance of memorable melodies in games. A selection of songs from the Sakura Wars 2 vocal collection are listed, including Giki Taikoku Kagekidan, Kai, Metro de Iku, Ikiteru Yorokobi, Haru ga Kuru, Minami Kaze Gogo, Aishi no Jean-Paul, Zetai Unmei no Tango, Koi no Hasha Orai, Shunen Redo Shudaika, Miyako no Hana Zo, Moshimo, Icarus no Hoshi, Kiseki no Kane, Yume no Tsuzuki. The next page features more of the interview with Kohei Tanaka on Sakura Wars 2 and the Sakura Taisen Kaiyu show, focusing on the musical aspects and what fans can expect. Tanaka discusses the differences between composing for anime and games, emphasizing the need for game music to be enjoyable even after repeated listens. He also shares insights on bringing out the best sound on the Sega Saturn, the role of music in the Kaiyu show, and the challenges of live performances with an orchestra. A rehearsal photo is included as well. Tanaka touches on the upcoming show, working with the cast, and the addition of a special guest from the Shiki Theater Company. There's also a section detailing the remaining performance dates for the Kaiyu show, as well as an advertisement for Sakura goods given to interviewees by Tanaka, including badges, coasters, clear files, a drawstring bag, and a hand towel with Tanaka's autograph. This page is a Sega Saturn preview from a Japanese gaming magazine, likely from late 1997 or early 1998, judging by the release dates and games shown. It focuses on upcoming Sega Saturn titles and features interviews or profiles for several games. The featured games include Segata Sanshiro, Shinken Game, a minigame collection based on the famous Sega commercials, Remaking Memories, an adventure game based on a popular manga, I Love Mickey Mouse, The Great Adventure of the Mysterious Castle, and I Love Donald Duck, The Secret of the King of Glujaya, 2 Sega Ages titles, and Steam Hearts, a vertical scrolling shooter. The page also shows a section on the making of an anime for another game, showcasing the cell animation. The tone is enthusiastic, highlighting the unique aspects of each game, including the novelty of Segata Sanshiro and the faithfulness of Remaking Memories to its source material. It's clear the magazine is aiming to excite readers about the upcoming Saturn releases. In short, the page previews several Sega Saturn games, including Segata Sanshiro, Remaking Memories, I Love Mickey Mouse, The Great Adventure of the Mysterious Castle, I Love Donald Duck, The Secret of the King of Glujaya, and Steam Hearts, featuring character interviews and behind-the-scenes looks at development. This page showcases upcoming Sega Saturn and Dreamcast games, offering a glimpse into their development. The Saturn section highlights titles like Shining Force 2i, The Blank of 3 Years, a Macross game, Pia Carrot, Virtualon, and several others, with short developer interviews providing insights into the game's progress and unique features. The Dreamcast section previews games like Godzilla Generations, Shenmue, and others, painting a picture of what's to come on Sega's new console. The overall tone is optimistic, emphasizing the exciting features and the progress of these games. Many titles are in the 6,080% completion stage of development, suggesting a relatively short time before release. Quote, This page is a double-page spread, predominantly featuring promotional material for the upcoming Sega Saturn game Virtua Fighter and the Dreamcast title party, Cha-Cha-Cha. The Virtua Fighter section showcases its mecha designs and includes a character list in Japanese. The Party Cha-Cha section highlights its colorful aesthetic and features a similar character list. The page also includes a game index listing numerous Sega Saturn titles, with some Dreamcast games listed separately. The overall design is vibrant and heavily uses anime-style art. A brief preview of the next issue's cover featuring new characters is also included. This page is a double-page spread advertising the visual novel Etude Prologue, The Heart's Movement. The left side shows artwork of the female protagonist and screenshots from the game, along with release details for the Windows and Sega Saturn versions. The right side features the male protagonist and the game's title written in elegant calligraphy. The overall style is typical of Japanese visual novels from the mid to late 90s, and the artwork is quite striking. It promises a story of shifting emotions and relationships.